The Lead. Sponsored by Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Tinker. This is The Lead, and I am honored today to have a father-son tennis combination with us on The Lead, and that is Shannon and William Johnson of Walker and now Jasper tennis prowess. And so we're going to talk some about the past, talk some about the present, and even the future. So welcome, guys, to the set today.
Thanks for having us.
So we're going to begin, Shannon, with you because obviously William wouldn't be here if we didn't start with you. So let's talk some about when Walker tennis was good, but not necessarily on everybody's radar, but became on everybody's radar because I think I'm right about this, 12 state championships, I think,
12.
For Walker and Jasper. And so,
and about 12 runner-ups.
Yeah, so always been in the hunt every single year for a long stretch. And you were kind of back at the origin of that in 1989. Can you talk a little bit about that, your being a part of the team and meeting Grant Rolley and how that kind of impacted everything, got the ball rolling? Okay.
Yeah, that was well put. We were kind of off the radar, to say the least. But, we were 6A, and there was only 6As. Right. So we were battling Vestavia, Mountain Brook, and we had some good teams, and there were very good teams before we got there. With Stuart Upton was on, Coach Upton was constantly producing players, but competing and getting a full team to beat Vestavia and Mountain Brook was very, very difficult. So it was hard to even get out of the area. Central Tuscaloosa was in our area, and they won it in '88, but I say Stewart and Haig, right? Was great players that come through there. Scott Kitchens and Scott Twilley, and that's who I remember. Mike Wigington was on a team that was good. I think they did go to state, and I think they placed probably top 6, and that was the sniff at it. And then our '87 team, we had a Swedish player, a foreign exchange student that came in as my 10th grade year. He came in, and after the round robin, he took my #1 spot. And I had played #1 my 9th grade year. So I loved having a good player on the team, but I wasn't, fond of him playing ahead of me. Right. But and then I didn't need to be playing 1, but I wanted to. Right. But so I eventually took my spot back. He went undefeated at #2. We got out of the area and went to state and finished about 5th that year. The next year we lost him, but we had Jason Selman at 2, Dwayne Wigington, his brother Mike, and Shane Wilson and Brad Robertson, and several. We had a cast of characters, but we couldn't get out of our area our junior year, and it killed us. I mean, we had a really good team, couldn't get out of the area. Central Tuscaloosa was in our area. They finished 1st. Vestavia was in our area. They finished 2nd at state. And, they barely beat us out of going to state. So Grant shows up before my senior year to work at Musgrove, and just he and I hit it off immediately. Immediately. He with me, had me hit, and he said, "Now why are you not playing at Musgrove? You're the best junior in the city." I said, "Well, we're not members, Grant." He said, "Well, that doesn't matter anymore. You got a job up here now, 4 hours a week, pulling weeds, so you can play when you want to, when you're not pulling weeds." And he was like that with everybody on our team. If we would have had more time with him, he probably got here in July or August. And by the time the season rolled around in February, everybody had bought in. And we felt like we, shook up the world. Vestavia was undefeated. They beat us once in the regular season, wouldn't play us the second time. Central Tuscaloosa, we beat them. They were the defending state champions, but went to sections, and everybody thought, well, it's the same old, same old. Jasper's going to finish 3rd to these 2 powerhouses, and we upset them both. And then we were at state and beat Mountain Brook, and, Vestavia didn't get to go. We knocked Vestavia out, and it was Central that went with us. And finished 2nd that year, and it still bothers me. But we were one match away. We needed 2 points anywhere. But you know, it was. I think we got on the radar. You know, we did, and it took a while for Grant to. That was his first year, and that was like, you know, his big shot right then. It was a while. It was a decade before they got that first state championship after that, '99, with the Allen brothers. So.
And then from that point, it was kind of one state championship after another. Both for the boys and the girls won several in that stretch as well.
The girls won 2, I believe.
Yeah.
The boys won 10.
Yeah.
And I think from '99 to they won 7 out of 11 years or something like that for a while.
Yeah.
When that was, you know, they had some really good teams. And like I said, when I said the Allen brothers, there was always the Wigington brother, you know, Dwayne, my teammates' nephews, Mike's sons came through. They were good. Eli and Christian. I'm sure there's others I'm forgetting, but you know, you get 3 or 4 really good players like that. You only need 6 to make a run. 6 really good players that are buying in.
But you guys were kind of the launching pad for that, and so as that began and the culture began to change, and maybe talk a little bit about culture prior to. What was it about Grant and his methods? And you've experienced this too, right, William?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
and you can speak about this as well because you had some experience before. What grade were you in when you moved here?
I was in 9th grade, freshman year.
Okay, so you're a senior this year.
Yes, sir.
And so you've had some experience now, and so you had before Grant and after Grant, if you will. And so each of you, let's start with you, Shannon, but so what was kind of the difference in terms of creating a culture of, yeah, we can compete with anybody. We can beat anybody. What was the difference there?
Well, I'll go back to the previous year, '88. We were battling, and it just seemed like we were kind of on an island. James Sparks was our coach. He was the chemistry teacher. And Coach Sparks, if you're out there, give me a call. I hadn't talked to you in 35 years. I'd like to see you. But he did a good job, a really good job. And Grant came along though, and we felt like, you know, the first couple of matches, you know, there's a lot of in tennis. You're out there and it's one-on-one, and if an umpire tries to interject or something, you can handle it yourself. But if the tournament director starts to come in or the other coach tries to penalize you, and this happened in '89, the other coach would try to penalize our players. Grant wasn't having it. He would not have it. And right when the first time he did that, everybody on the team took notice. Like, we got someone that's about to stand up for us, that believes in us.
Right.
And that's what he did. He got everybody on the team. It wasn't just me. He taught me how to play doubles. He taught me how to backhand slice. I was 17, didn't really have a good backhand slice. Williams had one for years. His little brothers, I mean, both of his little brothers, the smallest one doesn't, but they both got backhand slices at 8 and 12. I didn't have one. Grant taught me how to hit it, and but everybody on that team he could connect with. Everybody needed something different. He knew how to connect with them, and everybody just wanted to win. They wanted to win for him, but they also believed in themselves. Grant made everybody believe in themselves.
Yeah. So what's been your experience there? I know you have Christian Matthews as your head coach, but Grant's still involved. You take lessons at the club from him.
Yeah,
so
I do.
kind of talk about your experience. You know, you hear your dad's and talk about yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, Grant's intense. He's a very intense coach, and he's taught me a lot, you know, how to volley, slice. He's helped me develop those things, and he's done it for a lot of other players, too, in our team. And he's just been other than Coach Matthews, obviously, he's been a good coach to go to, you know, outside of high school practice. He's just been helping us develop players for, you know, 30 years. He's been doing that.
So what would you say is the one thing about your game that you didn't realize that Grant saw that's made a difference?
Probably my net play, because my net play is one of my strong points now. But before I got to Jasper, it was all from behind the baseline, just ground strokes. And when I got here, my net play improved and my game improved, and I just started to play a lot better.
Was that more of a serve and volley, or was that a pick your opportunity to come forward kind of thing?
Pick my opportunity to come in. Serve and volley and helps a lot too, you know, catch them by surprise kind of. Yeah.
So when you come to net then, before you stayed back because obviously maybe your volleying at the net was not that great. So was it just spending a lot of time at the net volleying back and forth, or was it the whole kind of, this is how we do that, this is when you pick your opportunity, this is when you come forward? What was the key to that?
The key was, I was hitting a lot of volleys back and forth. I mean, I was hitting a lot of volleys with Grant. You know, it's like the first thing we work on in clinics when we do like a high school clinic is volleys. And when you get to the net after hitting like an approach shot, you want to put the point away when you're at the net because everything's coming a lot faster. You have less time to react, and you know you just want to be aggressive up there and get the point over with. And
sure. Let's talk about then your decision. You were out of Jasper for a number of years, raising your family, Florence area, Homewood, and so you decide, all right, we're going to go back to Jasper. What was behind that decision? Well,
that was summer of 2020, so you can probably imagine a little bit what was behind it. There was a lot of lockdowns, and actually March of 2020, they shut the schools down. And my wife, Jessica, I've had a lake place here forever. It was my connection here. Always wanted to have a connection here. Even when I was over in Birmingham and young, I've had that house a long time, luckily. And we started going up there. They were out of school. There was no reason to be in Homewood. I would leave and go to work and drive back. And after about 2 months of doing that, my wife said, Shannon, I like this a lot better than Homewood. No offense to my Homewood friends, but she said I liked it. She loved the club. She loved the people here. And that was a huge, but we had to think about it with the kids because they were already traveling, doing tournaments, and the little ones already were interested. So we had 4 boys playing tennis. They were interested. And in Homewood and Birmingham, there's a clinic with high-level players daily that they were attending. So we were worried about it. And I wasn't sure their game would take off. I wasn't sure what would happen. But luckily we found a house with a tennis court. Grant gave us a ball machine immediately. Like the day we closed, he gave us an old ball machine. And we put it out there, got it working, and William's out there. He would go out there every night for hours. I'd be in bed, and I would look, the tennis court lights are on. Here's William out there drilling by himself, drilling, serving, drilling, and you've got that. And that made a difference. That made a difference. But taking from Grant, but playing what he started doing, I told him when we moved here, I don't know if he remembers, I said, there's not going to be as many clinics, but you know how to hit. You got to learn how to play. And that's what Grant teaches, is how to play. He can teach you how to hit, but there's a skill to playing the game. And you learn that by playing. So he started playing, coach, Christian Matthews and Blake Hobby and whoever would play him, Christian Gann to start with. And he was just finding matches to play. And his game took off after we got here. And the 8th Coles has also. It's taken off.
Yeah. So it was a good move for you, very obviously.
Yes, sir.
So you came to Jasper from the Homewood system and came as a 9th grader, you said.
Yes, sir.
So you met Coach Matthews for the first time. And so talk about your evolution as a player there. You started as a 9th grader. That first season, what number did you play?
I played number 2 behind Alex Barber.
Okay.
I would like to play number 1, but he beat me that year. He was better than me.
Sure. There's always the ladder play, right? I guess you still do that, right? You play the ladder play to determine. And so, but 10th grade forward, you've been number 1.
Yes, sir.
All right. So talk about your own individual success there over those 3 years playing number 1, or the team's success any of those years. Where have you guys finished the past 4 seasons?
Well, we've been, I'm pretty sure it was top 10 about every year at state. And before this year, I haven't gotten past the semis. Like my freshman year, I went to the semis, I think, and then my sophomore year, I think I went to the semis. Junior year, I went to the semis. Sophomore year, I got knocked out in the round of 16, and then obviously quarters.
Yeah.
And then this year, I lost in the final. It was my first time in the final. I couldn't get it done, but as of my development, I've developed a lot. Hit with Coach. I remember I used to get up at like 6 in the morning and go hit with him at like 7 before school, like every day. Drive from the lake house, and I really enjoyed doing that. But none of my years here were as dominant as this year. Like, I should have gone undefeated this year. I was 28-1, and I haven't been that dominant in any other season here at Jasper. And it just sucks that I couldn't get it done in the final, the last match. But you know, I'm happy regardless of that.
Sure. Well, I think, and one of the things that we sometimes tend to do is we focus on the 1 instead of the 28. So if I can encourage you from my standpoint is really think about those 28 wins, right? And I get it. I get it. You're that close and you want to win a state championship. So I know that. But on the other hand, you know, let's think about it this way. Only 2 people get to the finals, right? So that means that you were one of the last 2 in the state. And with 28 wins ahead of that, obviously consecutively, you went undefeated on the season until the championship game. That's something to really celebrate. So my encouragement to you would be to focus on that. And although it didn't turn out the way you wanted to in the championship game, there's still a whole lot to be proud of.
Yeah,
100%. He had a great year.
Yeah.
The kid that beat him was 24-1. You know, and he lost to someone from Mississippi, a private school, in a 3rd set tiebreaker, like 14-12. So, and William in the semis, I'll brag on him because he won't brag on himself. But he had a terrible draw. He played Lamp in the first round, who won the state championship last year. Had a decent second round that he could relax and play. Semifinals, he played the guy that won it as a freshman at number 1. He was a senior. Knocked William out last year pretty easily in the semis. And William, you know, played, I thought, maybe the best match of the year. Although he beat Hoover this year, he beat Homewood, he beat Chelsea, everybody they put in front of him, he beat. But you know, I think it's a great accomplishment to get to the final. Not many of all the good teams we've had here, great players. We've had 6 doubles champions. We've never had a singles champion from the 1 spot. And I think he was only the Reed and Hunter, your next door neighbors over here. I think each got to the finals. Great players. David Donaldson, who played at Ole Miss, you know, high school Heisman, he got to the finals in, I think, 2002 maybe. So, you know, I think he had a lot of pressure on him because everybody knew we'd never had a singles champion. Right. But 28, no, he had a great year. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah,
that's pretty extraordinary. Again, not many people can say that they played in the state finals of a tennis championship because only 2 people get to do that per year. So you're in a select group of folks, as they would say, rarefied air. So congratulations to you on that. And now you've been rewarded. You're going to be playing tennis, we'll say locally because it's in Wallace, Hanceville. So talk a little bit about your opportunity there.
Yeah, I'm very excited to play for Wallace. You know, it's the next level up. And I look forward to the challenge. I look forward to hitting with better players and improving a lot. Hopefully, improving his team. And you know, they're a top 10 JUCO in the nation. They're always top 10 in nationals. And I'd like to, I don't know, maybe go top 5.
Sure.
When I play.
Do you know any of the? Did you play any of the other guys that have signed? Do you know anybody that's going to be there that you competed against?
Yeah, I know a couple of them. Yeah, they're obviously really good players. I mean, they're all, you know, top 3 on their high school teams, super good. You know, competed with them throughout my tennis career as a junior. I look forward to it.
So there's never an off season in tennis, right? It's kind of a year-round type thing. So now you finished the high school season, but there'll be a summer circuit that you do. Talk a little bit about what it's like to live the tennis life.
It's a little hectic. I mean, things can get crazy, and you know, just the emotional roller coaster. Like one tournament I'll get rounded, the next I'll go to the finals, and it'll be a good tournament. And you know, I just gotta find a way to stay neutral throughout those times and not get mad. And
are there rankings that outside of high school rankings? Are there junior and senior type rankings that go on, and are you ranked in any of those formats?
Yeah, I think I'm number 9 in the state of Alabama. I'm not ranked very high nationally. A lot of good players other than Alabama.
Yeah. Well, you know, as Shannon said, sometimes you get these guys from foreign countries. You get exchange students that come in, and they play really good tennis. I went to college a long time ago, but at my college in Nashville, 5 of our 6 guys were Swedes. They were all from Sweden.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic tennis players. So you do run into some of that as well. But it's one of those things that if you're going to be good, you got to play year round, and you got to play at a high level, right?
Yes, sir.
Being able to practice against better players, because it's really hard for him to. I can't give him a match now. I held him off till he was about 16. I didn't play him like the last probably 6 months. He was 15, but he would destroy me right now, and so it's hard for him to find a match, you know. And being at Wallace, I think they finished 7th last year. They're bringing in 4 or 5 foreigners for next year's team. Being able to hit with those guys and practice with those guys is going to be a big deal.
Absolutely. And then maybe after that, offer to play at a 4-year school somewhere. Is that something you have ambition for?
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Do you have a favorite kind of surface? Have you gotten a chance to play on, I don't know if you've ever played on grass, maybe not, but do you clay versus hard court? Do you have a preference? I know they still have the Rubico at Musgrove, right?
Yeah, I think my game is probably more suited for clay because I like to play defense and just grind. And clay is better for that because the ball's slower. It gives me more time to get there. But I like hard court better just because it's faster and I just like it.
Yeah. Don't get quite as dirty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, don't have his mom yelling about
your shoes out of it.
Yeah. You can't believe how many times his mom's got mad about the kids coming in the house with their shoes on, you know, dirty, and finding Rubico in the house.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can't avoid that, right?
And she won't let it lay there for but a second. But, yeah.
Well, one of the consequences say, look, Mom, you've raised a champion, so you just have to deal with it, right?
Yeah. Raising champions.
Yeah.
William's forehand, really talking about the services, his forehand's big. It's elite. That's his strong. I mean, that's how he beats me. If I give him a forehand, he's either going to hit a winner or put me on defense. I can't flip the point back around. His forehand's too big for me, and it's too big for a lot of players.
Sure.
I think his hard courts is his surface, but and his volleying, like he said, his volleying. When you're on a hard court, you hit those volleys and they just skid and stay down, and it kind of lends itself to what he's good at.
Sure. Well, let's talk then a little bit about the future of tennis at Jasper. You've got a brother that's going to be playing probably #1 next year, a rising 9th grader, Cole. So as you know, from your perspective, because you've been a part of this now for 4 years, what do you see for the team? Will we be back in the finals? We're going to be 6A next year. So we're bumping up a little bit. Competition is going to be a little tougher, maybe. So I'm not asking you to make an absolute prediction, but just in general, you know, what do you think about Jasper tennis?
Well, I think the future's bright. I don't know if we'll do that great these next couple of years because obviously we're making the move to 6A, you know, tougher competition and stuff like that, and we're going to lose like Cooper Ford and like 3 of our top 6 this year. You know, our foreign exchange student from France, he's leaving this year. So it's just going to be like my brother, and then after that it's just going to be a dip. And so that's going to be rough, you know, competing with those schools that have a lot of, you know, people like Mountain Brook and stuff who are really deep, have good players all around. It's going to be tough to compete with them.
Sure.
That's the thing. He said deep. Mountain Brook William played Mountain Brook's #1 in March, I think. It was in a tournament. It was outside of high school competition. We don't play them head to head. I think maybe Grant and their coach. I don't know exactly the story. I hear a different one from Grant all the time, but they won't play us anymore head to head. But so William caught their #1 in a tournament and won easily in March. But their #6 player is almost as good as their #1.
Sure.
They're deep. But I will say this, talking about the future. We had a bunch of 9th graders that have gotten really interested recently. Bankston, Owen, and Ethan Thorne, and Beckett Ford, and Zeke Tuggle, and they're athletes. And that's what Jasper has won on, is that the coaches here will find athletes like from the baseball team or from the basketball team and get them out and make the team. You know, you'll have tennis players at 1 and 2 usually, but you'll have athletes at 3 through 6 that you know, they didn't play when they were 8 or 10. They didn't play all these tournaments, but they're athletes and they bought in. So hopefully that's going to. I think those 4. There's some other. Hayes Hopkins is here. He's going to be returning. He played 5 and won state at number 2 doubles this year. So with Cooper Ford. So, but it's like Mountain Brook and everybody else. They're really good. They played Vestavia this year and wore them out in 7A. You know.
Well, a funny story about that. I did junior high tennis by default, or middle school tennis by default for 3 seasons, and had some really good players. Actually, Mike Wigington helped me because his boys were coming through at that time, and Shay McGeehee because her boys were coming through at that time. So had a lot of help. Otherwise, you know, I could keep score and that kind of hit around a little bit. I'm not a tennis player. Nonetheless, we went to play Mountain Brook, and so when we showed up, the coach said, just need to let you know that, you know, our 1 through 6 or somewhere else are playing, you know, tournament somewhere. And I thought, oh, well, we got kind of a chance today, you know. No, we did not. It was oh. So, you know, it's what you're saying, that they just have those kids that, you know, they grow up with a tennis racket in their hand. They have a lot of depth. And so beating them is difficult because 1 through 6, they're going to have all ones basically there. And that's, you know, when you go by points, that, you know, if 2 through 5 or 2 through 6 lose, it doesn't matter if 1 wins anyway to that extent.
That's how Jasper has, the Vikings, Walker, Jasper, they've won a lot, but you win it at 4, 5, and 6. If you can gather up those points, they count just as much as what William going to the finals. You get someone going to the finals at 6, and that adds points to the team total.
Yep, that is the way you win. You've got to win those matches on down the ladder. Well, it's exciting. I'm happy for you for the season you've had, Shannon, for you being a part of kind of creating the culture that's still there, carried on now by Coach Christian Matthews and the success that he's had there as boys and girls coach.
We're lucky to have him.
We are blessed to have him there, and to still have some people around the program that have a deep interest in it, because there is a tennis community here.
It's a great community for tennis.
There is, and to find that in coal country, you know, in blue-collar coal country is such an aberration, right?
I have so many people in Birmingham ask me, like, it's you know, it's strange how y'all, you know, you wouldn't think of it. It's blue-collar up there, and, you know, you're competing with, like, Mountain Brook, you know?
Right. And
there's a lot of country clubs in Mountain Brook. It's a great community. But it's just, like, hard to, in Vestavia, you know, but it's a community up here. A lot of that goes back to Coach Upton, Pat Upton, starting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Training so many of those at a young age who then became good quality high school players that then got to the next level when Grant gets here and has that little bit of a mystique about him that kind of, if you want to say, put our program over the edge. That little bit of a bump that we needed. Maybe like Coach Saban coming to Alabama. You know, I think on the level that we're talking about would be equivalent to that, because one of the things that Coach Saban was able to do was to get folks to buy into, you know, we can win if we do it this way. And I think Grant has that same quality of we can win if we do it this way.
Get them to buy in.
Yeah. And so Christian's a part of that. So thank you for launching that. Thank you for coming here and continuing that, and we're looking forward to that being the case as we move along. One of the things that we ask everybody to do is to sign the poster behind you, so if y'all would take the Sharpie and both of you sign that, please.
Will do.
We would appreciate it.
Their team finished 2nd this year, by the way. I don't know if he mentioned that or I mentioned it, but they're disappointed in it.
Right. But
they brought home a red
what
mount.
Were we 6 points?
We lost 4. The point total ended up being greater than it was at the end. We played the champion, and I'm not going to call their name. I'm just like a Bear Bryant wouldn't ever say Auburn.
Right.
But they won 4 match breakers against us that just were huge. Just if we could have won 3 of them, we win it.
Yeah.
So
it is that close often.
It's that
isn't
close,
it?
yeah.
Well, while they're signing the board, I will remind all of you who are watching that 78 Magazine is produced bi-monthly and is available all around Jasper, surrounding areas. Always free to a good home, and quality writing, quality photography, and always great stories about the people in our area up and down and around Highway 78 here in Walker County. So pick up your copy today at a local store, and if you don't know where that might be, then contact 78 Magazine by email and they can tell you where to pick one up. Well, Shannon and William, it has been a real pleasure today to talk to you guys about tennis. I'm excited for you, for your future at Wallace Hansville. It's going to make it a little more difficult on Mom and Dad now, right?
Yeah, but at least he's staying close.
Yeah, that's right. And you got your own vehicle, of course, that helps. And then for what's coming with Cole, and then you had two more boys.
Two little ones that play. And Cole played #1 doubles with him this year.
Okay.
And they went 24-5.
Yeah. And
made the semifinals at 1, and he's playing with an 8th grader. So
yeah.
Cole had to. It's tough playing #2 as an 8th grader and won doubles, but he did it.
Yeah. So good things ahead for him.
Yeah, we hope so.
And for William. So congratulations. Well, it's been a lot of fun today to talk about Walker and Jasper tennis, and to reminisce a little bit about Grant Rolley's part to play in that, and now Christian Matthews being a part of that culture and being the head coach at Jasper High and the success that they had this year and have had, and we just wish them continued success. So this is Greg Tinker on behalf of the Lead saying good afternoon.
The Lead, sponsored by Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.